Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hip Senior Podcast, Book Edition. Today, we are here with Mary Ann Drummond. She wrote the book Grandma and Me, a kid's guide for dementia, for Alzheimer's and dementia. Mary Ann, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Grandma and Me. Where did this book come from? What's this all about?
It actually began as a thought process after I wrote Meet Me Where I Am, an Alzheimer's Care Guide, continuing to do presentations, speaking at conferences, and it was really asked for. People would come up and say, "This is a great book, but what about the children in the family? What about resources for the children?" And there are a few good books out there, but just not enough. There's just children are sometimes just not given the education support they need to understand the changes that are happening in their loved ones. So that's where the thought process began for Grandma and Me. And I had written an original draft, but it was lacking a certain something, or I should say someone. And I had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Beatrice prior, who is just been a delight to get to know and work with. And she was the missing piece of what the rest of the manuscript really needed. And so we partnered together on this book. And I think what is unique about our book compared to some of the others is there's also a very special section in there for parents to help them and coach them on how to work with their children as they explain dementia, in addition to the delightful story to walk the child through what's going on, and telling the story through pictures is so important. And we really put a lot of emphasis in how we told that story with the artwork to make it very meaningful for the child in a way that the child could not only understand, but enjoy.
I love that so much because I've always wondered, how children, grandchildren, especially when, they're used to grandma cooking maybe their favorite foods and hugging them when they come in the door, to being, I don't know you, why are you here? Stuff like that when things get rough, and how they understand and process that has to be really hard on them. So parents helping them, guide them along the way and making them understand a little bit better has to be a very valuable resource.
Yeah, it's even been used by individuals who have dementia to help the child be prepared for the changes that might come. One of my favorite moments interacting with someone in a book signing was a delightful lady in the early stages of Alzheimer's who bought several copies for her grandchildren. And she wanted to use it to help them understand how she was getting forgetful and what might be happening in the future, prepare them. It really touched me to be able to give that to her and to see that connection being maintained with her and her grandchildren.
So is it the kind of book that they can go back and refer to when they have questions, or they just forget, pop up and stuff?
It absolutely is the kind of book that can be used anywhere in the journey with the family, in the early stages to help them understand as changes are occurring, or even as things advance toward the latter parts of that disease and the relationships have changed. It's a book that the child and the parent can use together to understand what's going on with their loved one.
Okay, that's fair. I almost feel like always my final question is, if they could set it down and to have one thought to take away from this book, is there one thought they could take away from this book, or is it just something that they're always going to be going back to? Like you said, do that. Is there one thought that you'd hope that they would get out of this if they could just have one thought?
Yeah, I think our main goal for this book was maintaining connections, maintaining the family connections, and understanding that their loved one is still their loved one. There's this illness, this physical illness that they really don't have control over, but deep down inside, the love is still there and the connections are still there. There will be changes, but there's still that loved one. So to be able to restore whatever's possible in the relationship as much as possible throughout that journey is really the takeaway that we hope to be able to gain.
I love that so much. Mary Ann, thank you so much for telling us about Grandma and Me. It looks like an extremely special book. Guys, if you have young ones that just need to understand, like I said, it can be confusing for them. So click on purchase and pick up Grandma and Me. Thank you so much for telling us about it today.
Thank you.
Bye bye.